You should be farther along. So-and-so is so much prettier, smarter, more successful than you are. You're falling behind. You're just not as pretty or young or thin as you used to be. You're way better than her. Why haven't you done that yet? Look at her over there. She's way ahead of you. What have you been doing? The voice of the comparison queen. Ow, right? Ow, ow, ow. So not that. So not loving. So not loving. Hello, if you have landed here today on the love couch, it is perhaps because you too, like me, and about every woman on the planet that I know, suffers from an internal, or what we call inner mean girl comparison queen. My name is Christine Arylo, and I am the founder of the Path of Self-Love School, and I'm also the author of this great book, Reform Your Inner Mean Girl, which identifies 13 common inner mean girls, inner critics that we have, and 33 toxic self-sabotaging habits that women and girls as young as the age of 6 all around the world suffer from. And today's very short but mighty video session is from my heart to yours to get real and to talk about one that I see so often, and it's comparison. And it is eating our energy away. It is distracting us from our power. It is making us have these monkey minds and making us feel that no matter how much we do or how much we achieve, it's never enough. And comparison is creating a tremendous amount of separation and isolation among girls and women everywhere, and it's time to stop. Now, here's the great thing. I've spent over a decade studying these toxic habits and these self-sabotaging habits, and also studying how do we transform those using the power of self-love. You see, I bet you probably didn't know that all that comparison mumbo-jumbo that goes on in here comes from an inner mean girl inside of you who's actually trying to protect you. And you probably didn't know it was a lack of self-love or a weak self-love that was at the root of that. But once you get that self-love is the antidote to comparison, oh boy, you gain the power to change it. So in this short session, I want to speak to you and share with you, I'm actually going to introduce you to my inner mean girl, how this comparison queen can show up in you. And then I'm going to give you the self-love antidote that you can take and put to use in your day-to-day life. What do you say? It's going to be like kryptonite for that comparison queen inside of you. Okay, let me introduce you first to my inner mean girl. Meet Mean Patty. This is the first inner mean girl. I have 5 that I ever identified and met. She's my comparison queen. You can see she has an upside down heart on her smock. She does not look happy. In fact, she also, I forgot her tool. She has this ruler. It is a very large ruler. And Mean Patty and almost all comparison queens, they love to, number 1, compare you to other people. Now this can be as tricky. They can compare you to other people in a way that makes you feel inferior, and they can make you also do it in a way that feels superior. But in either case, what happens is you feel less than or more than, you feel separate, comparing you to other people. But it doesn't just stop there. Oh, no. This mean girl, she also loves to compare you to who you should be, or who she thinks you should be, or what you should have, should be. She loves to should. She's a total shoulder. And it's like, what you should have this by now. You should be this by now. Like, why hasn't this happened yet? And the thing about these inner mean girls and these inner forces, they put all this pressure on you, and they make you be so hard on yourself. So it's like this hard criticism and judgment and this pressure that you're always under, that no matter how much you do, it's never enough, because she's always more that you should be or have to be. But she can also, and this is where she gets really sneaky, compare you to who you used to be. I see so many women who are like, well, when I was 20, I wore a size 6, but I had 3 children and I'm 45 now, my hormones have changed, but I should still be a size 6, right? Or gosh, when I was X, Y, and Z, formerly in my life, like, oh, wow, I didn't have gray hair, but I was 20. They do that a lot with our body. But it can also show up, I see, with people who've made life changes in their lives. Well, I used to have this kind of money, or I used to have this kind of house, or I used to. All of this, what this creates right here, this is suffering, suffering. And that is not self-loving. So if you have a comparison queen, bring her on. We're going to come sit on the couch here, and I'm going to share with you the antidote to comparison, because there's actually some gold in here from a self-love perspective that can be absolutely empowering. Okay, you ready for the wisdom bite? Take this in. Here's the great thing about comparison. When it shows up, what it's doing is it's showing you something that you're seeing inside of the other person that is also something that's inside of you that's either repressed or not as expressed. And it's like there's a part of you inside of your heart saying, express me, let me out, let me be, let me out, let me out, let me out. You see, you can't see something in someone else that's not present inside of you. Take that in for a second. You cannot see something inside of someone else that's not present in you. So think of a person that you've compared yourself to recently. I used to compare myself with my inner mean girl, me and Patty, you met her. She used to love comparing to Oprah and Barbara Walters. She'd be like, well, Oprah has a couch and Barbara Walters has been on TV. This was my first book, Choosing Me, before We came out. She's like, you don't even have a couch and you're never going to be on TV. Well, oh, look at me now. I got a couch. I got a nice couch. I got a love couch. And I am here with you on video. But, 10, 15 years ago, my first book came out, she was all over me, and she was robbing me of my own joy, because of course I wasn't Oprah or Barbara Walters yet. And I remember Noah, my partner, he's so wise when it comes to self-love. He looked at me and he said, Christine, how long has Oprah been doing what she's been doing? How long has Barbara Walters been doing what she's been doing? I'm like, 25 years. And I had just left my corporate job at the time. And that's my background as corporate MBA. And I had just left my corporate job. And I had just started writing and coaching. And the self-love school wasn't even in form yet, just an idea. And I said, a year? He's like, so might you give yourself some slack and it might take a little while? I was like, oh, yeah. So what I did, and this is the antidote to comparison, is I actually applied inspiration and admiration. If you have a piece of paper, you can write these down. Inspiration and admiration. So here's what that looks like. In the case when you are finding yourself comparing yourself to someone else, you stop and you drop and you ask yourself, what is it inside of this other person that it really inspires me? Or what is it inside this other person that I'm seeing I really admire? And write it down, say it out loud, or have a conversation with a friend and get it out so that you can start to articulate what that is. And those same qualities and that same essence is inside of you too. And so the next step is to look inside of your heart and say, okay, well, if that's true for them, and these are the words that really inspire me, what's wanting to come out inside of my own heart and be more expressed and more fully visible and more out there? And then still looking in, you ask your inner wisdom, what's one step I can take to move towards that? I remember when I had just started the self-love movement, the Path of Self-Love, which is a school now that serves people all over the world. We have teachers on 6 continents. We've taught over 35,000 people. We run programs for teachers and kids and moms and everybody. It was just an idea. And Eve Ensler, who of course has started V-Day and is just, an amazing being, I remember comparing myself to her. And then when I did this process, what I loved about Eve was that she was a revolutionary. She was willing to stand up and do something different and actually say, what's going on in our culture right now doesn't work for me. And she was willing to stand up for women and girls and call them together. And so instead of comparing myself to Eve, which just stopped me in my tracks and got me all contracted, I actually opened up, and this is the double dog dare. This is how you actually kind of also move into inspiration and admiration. You reach out to the person you're comparing yourself to, and you tell them what inspires you about them. Now, of course, I don't know Eve, so I posted on her Facebook picture, and I started telling people about what I loved about her. And I bought a couple of her books, and I used what was going on at V-Day to fuel the self-love movement, which became 3 self-love books, which became Love Ambassadors, which became these programs, and now this teacher training, and now a school. So does it look just like Eve? No. But at the Path of Self-Love School, we're not just a school. We're on a mission to create a world in which every child who is born connected to love and stays connected to that love because they know how to source love from within. And we are in countries all over the world, and here I am with you on a couch, on video. That's the power of shifting that comparison into self-love and self-expression and self-empowerment, which are 2 very vital branches of self-love. So there's 10 kinds of self-love, And when you compare yourself, you smush your self-empowerment. You smush your self-expression. And beloved, the world needs you to be in the world, expressing yourself and empowering yourself and going out there and going for your dreams. When I left my corporate job and I just had a little inner wisdom voice that said, Christine, go out in the world and teach women and girls to love yourself, I was like, you're crazy. I'm going to starve to death. Can I go teach leadership? And people will make fun of me. And they did make fun of me. And I didn't starve to death, and I didn't live in a box, and now here I am with you. And I do also teach leadership, because in order to be an amazing leader, you actually have to have a foundation of self-love. They're not separate. So I ask you right now, beloved, who are you comparing yourself to? And find the inspiration. What inspires you about them? What admires you? What you admire about them? Or are you comparing yourself to who you think you should be or who you used to be? Okay, well then instead of beating yourself up about the future and future tripping or beating yourself up about who you're not yet, ask yourself, what's the essence of that person that I know I could be and am already? And what's the essence of the person who I was, not the form, not the size 6, not the whatever, but what is the essence that I want to reclaim? Or what is that essence I want to express? And then name the word. And then take that word, and this is what I love about the practice of self-love, is we make it practical and we put it into practice, create a piece of what we like to call heart art. Take that word and write it up on your mirror in lipstick. Write it on a postcard and put it in your screensaver and carry it around with you. And instead of shoving it back, express it more every day. And what's that one word? Just pick it right now that you want to express more in the world. And what's one step you can take towards that? And I double dog dare you to make it practical by making a piece of heart art, whether that's sticking it up on your mirror or putting it on your iPhone or just writing it out in black marker. Heart art, as long as you were 3 years old and you could color, hopefully outside the lines, you can make it. It's part of accessing the heart. So as we complete this very short teaching session today, I invite you to go out and try it, and try the transformation of changing comparison into inspiration and admiration, and as that, really expressing yourself more. And then come over to the Path of Self-Love school at pathofselflove.org, where we strengthen these branches of self-love, where we work with the inner mean girl and the inner wisdom and strengthen those. Self-love is at the root of everything in our lives. And if it's strong, boy, you can get out there in the world and live your great work and be your greatest self. And if it's weak, but you don't know it, it's really hard. You just keep sabotaging yourself. So, leaving you with this, beloved. It's a little love mantra, but it's a powerful one. Comparison is insanity. You actually can't be anyone else but you. So just be you. And what it says on the back is, after all, you are fabulous. So sending you off with much love, and I hope to see you sometime in one of our classes at the school, pathofselflove.org. Till now, or for later, go out there and love you. Much love, everyone.